Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, deep into the world of FCA compliance.
Oh, always a fun one, right?
It is, actually. We're going to see how staying compliant is more than just avoiding those nasty penalties. It's really about building, a sustainable and ethical business.
Yeah.
We've got some really interesting articles here, all about FCA reporting, auditing, and navigating all those compliance twists and turns.
Right, got to stay on top of it.
Exactly. By the end of this, hopefully a clearer picture of what it takes to, well, not just survive, but really thrive in this whole regulated landscape.
Absolutely, because the FCA's role is to make sure that the UK's financial markets, they work well for everyone, especially consumers. They're all about championing competition, and protecting consumers from harm.
Makes sense. So let's get into it. What kind of reporting does the FCA actually, require?
Well, you've got your annual returns, which are like, think of it as a yearly financial health check for your company. Then there are those regulatory notifications, sort of like breaking news alerts that you send to the FCA about, well, any big changes happening within your business.
Right, right. And I'm guessing there's more. What about prudential reports?
Oh, those are crucial. They go way beyond just checking if a company has like enough money in the bank. Prudential reports, they dig deep into a company's capital adequacy and risk management. It's how the FCA figures out if a firm can handle those financial shocks. They're looking at things like the Capital Requirements Directive, CRD ratios,
Right.
which tell you the minimum amount of capital a firm has to hold. And then there are stress tests to see how a company would do in, say, a financial crisis.
Makes sense. Got to make sure everyone's prepared for anything. Are there any other reports we should be aware of?
Definitely. You've got transaction reports, which give those detailed records of trades and activities, to prevent any market abuse. And then there are conduct reports. These focus on ensuring fair treatment of customers, those ethical business practices.
It's clear the FCA keeps an eye on everything. One of the articles even mentioned how even small errors in reporting can lead to big trouble. Apparently, one company got a huge fine just for a report with the wrong data formatting,
Oh, wow.
which caused a delay. Can you believe it? It really shows attention to detail is, well, crucial.
Absolutely. That's where having strong internal processes and systems is vital. It's not just about getting the data, it's about accuracy and meeting those deadlines.
So how can businesses make sure they're staying on top of it all?
Well, that's where audits come in. Think of them as your compliance checkup, making sure you're following the FCA's rule book. You've got your internal audits. Your own team takes a look to catch any weaknesses early on.
And then external audits are like getting a second opinion from, well, an independent specialist.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They provide that unbiased assessment, and stakeholders, they get the confidence that your compliance efforts are, up to par. One article talked about a company that used an internal audit to to find and fix weaknesses in their anti-money laundering AML procedures. They did this before an external audit even happened.
Smart.
Yeah, it helped them avoid penalties and showed their commitment to compliance.
It's a great example of how being proactive really pays off.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there are still challenges businesses face in meeting these compliance obligations, right?
There are, and one of the biggest is just keeping up with the constantly changing regulations. The FCA is always updating guidelines, so staying informed is a continuous process.
Makes sense. It's like a moving target.
Exactly. And then there's just the sheer volume of data, companies have to manage these days. It's a lot,
Oh, yeah. It's a data deluge.
especially with all the digital transactions and complex financial products out there. Staying organized, ensuring data accuracy, it can be a real pain, especially for smaller businesses, with limited resources.
Yeah. It's like trying to herd cats sometimes. And speaking of resources, the articles mentioned that allocating enough budget and personnel to compliance, it can be a real struggle for a lot of businesses. Compliance is an investment, sure, but it's often seen as a cost center rather than, a strategic advantage.
Right, a common misconception. One article even shared a story about a small firm. They were struggling to adapt to new FCA reporting guidelines. They just didn't have the systems in place to handle the changes.
Oh, I bet that was stressful.
Yeah, it led to delays, errors, just a lot of unnecessary stress.
It really highlights the importance of having the right tools and the expertise to navigate, this compliance maze. So let's talk about some best practices. What can businesses do to really meet these challenges head on and, build a robust compliance program?
Well, from our research, continuous improvement is key. Compliance isn't a one and done kind of thing. It's an ongoing process. Got to constantly assess your program, identify gaps, make adjustments as needed. The FCA landscape is always changing, so your compliance approach needs to adapt too.
Adaptability is key, for sure. What about transparency? How does that fit into building a strong compliance culture?
Oh, transparency is crucial, both internally and externally. It's about being open about your compliance efforts. Internally, that means clear communication with your team, regular training, and fostering a culture where everyone feels responsible for compliance. Externally, it's about showing your commitment to customers, investors, the public. It builds trust and demonstrates your dedication to doing things right.
So it's not just about following the rules, it's about making sure everyone understands and embraces them. Yeah.
Exactly. And getting stakeholders involved is another important part of successful compliance. It's not just about informing them, it's about engaging them. Get feedback from your employees, customers, partners. They can offer valuable insights to strengthen your program.
It's a much more collaborative approach,
Yeah.
right? Rather than just like dictating rules from the top down.
Absolutely, and documentation is key. Clear policies and procedures are your compliance roadmap. They guide how to handle situations, make sure everyone's on the same page, and they serve as proof of your commitment to compliance.
So thinking about audits, how can businesses prepare for them and make the process go smoothly?
Well, first things first, be prepared. Have your documentation ready, policies updated, and understand what the audit will cover. Engage with the auditors openly. Be proactive, address any questions or concerns they raise. Remember, the audit is a chance to show off your compliance program and get valuable feedback for improvement.
It sounds like approaching it collaboratively can make the whole thing less scary, right?
Definitely.
But I can imagine it can feel overwhelming, especially for businesses with limited resources or, expertise.
You're right, and that's where getting expert guidance can be so helpful.
Speaking of expert guidance, you know who comes to mind?
Compliance consultant, right?
Exactly.
They're home to the compliance doctor, and they have a fantastic track record of helping businesses big and small navigate the ins and outs of FCA compliance. They can help with developing solid compliance programs, preparing for audits, and staying ahead of those regulatory changes.
And they're offering a great deal right now, aren't they? It's their silver anniversary this year, and to celebrate, they have a massive 25% discount for 2025.
That's right. Plus, they're throwing in over $9,999 in bonuses when you sign up. It's an amazing opportunity to enhance your compliance strategy and get some peace of mind.
They really seem to go above and beyond for their clients. Where can our listeners learn more?
Their website is the best place to start, https://complianceconsultant.org. You'll find tons of information about their services and resources there.
And for those of you in the UK, you can call them directly at 0800-689-0190.
Or if you prefer, you can schedule a free discovery call right on their website. Just go to https://bit.ly/discover.
It's definitely worth checking out. Getting back to our deep dive, I want to touch on proactive compliance again. It seems like that's really the core of a successful strategy, wouldn't you say?
It is. Proactive compliance isn't about checking boxes. It's about making compliance a part of everything your business does. It's about anticipating challenges, spotting potential risks, and finding solutions before they become problems.
So being forward-thinking and constantly reevaluating your approach.
Exactly. And that takes a shift in thinking. Compliance isn't a burden. It's a chance. A chance to build trust with your customers, protect your reputation, and create a business that's built to last.
It sounds like embracing that proactive approach can really turn compliance from something you have to do into, well, a real advantage. Well said. It feels like we've covered so much in our deep dive into SEA compliance, all those different types of reporting, the importance of audits, and the challenges that, businesses face in staying compliant. We even talked about some best practices and the power of being proactive.
And, we've learned that staying informed and seeking expert guidance, like what Compliance Consultant offers, can make a huge difference.
Couldn't agree more. So to wrap things up, what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners will remember from this deep dive?
That's a good question. I think the biggest thing is FCA compliance. It's not just about dodging those penalties. It's about building a business that's sustainable, ethical, and successful, really. It's about protecting your customers, your reputation, and ultimately your future. When you take a proactive and informed approach, you can turn compliance into, well, a real strategic advantage that helps your business grow.
That's a fantastic point to end on. Compliance doesn't have to be this scary, burdensome thing. It can be a force for good, for positive change and growth. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of FCA compliance. We really hope you found it insightful and empowering. Remember, knowledge is power, and with the right resources and guidance, you can conquer this world of compliance with confidence.